Hello. What's up, guys? This is a rendition of Torn. Such a good song. Just pumping myself up to come on here and give you guys a little bit of powerful guidance so that you can be nourished, empowered, and free all the time, every day, because that's the goal, right? That's why we're in this community. Excuse me. And sometimes, even though becoming empowered, nourished, and free might seem simple, even when you like read tips or read posts, you're like, oh, that makes sense. I know I need to do that. We can all agree, I think, that it's not always easy. Let me know if that feels true. And that's why today I want to provide you with some simple hacks that can allow you to overcome some of the common barriers that come with becoming nourished, empowered, and free. So one of those things is the fact that we might know information and know what to do, but it's bringing it about, right? It's doing it. It's making the time. We know at this point in the stage of the game that when it comes to our health and to feeling good in our body and all of those benefits that come with healthy eating and nourishing the body and exercising, all those things, we know that there's no quick fix. We know that there's no, fast solution. I think if you're in this community, we know that. And we know that a huge requirement is to show up for ourselves, to make the time to do things. Does that make sense? Do you guys agree with that? So we need to take what we know and then embody it, what I call embody it, aka do the darn thing. So how do we do that in order to see the results, right? So how does one do that when we feel guilty? Maybe you have mom guilt. Maybe you have girlfriend guilt, boyfriend guilt, wife guilt, caretaker, especially my women, not to stereotype, but really to, I work with a lot of women, so I see this commonly that women take on this role of caretakers as wives, as daughters, as sisters, as mothers, especially. And we kind of are balancing all these things that next thing we know, we can make our son or our daughter breakfast, lunch, and dinner almost every day of the week. But when it comes to making the time to do it for ourselves, we stumble. Does that make sense? Does that feel true? Let me know. I'd love to see in the comments, just kind of if that feels relatable. So let's jump into ways that we can really start overcoming that. So the first thing I want you guys to really all understand is that we live in a society where that guilt is kind of common and, putting ourselves last is honored and, patted on the back, so on and so forth. And I invite you, if you want to be nourished, empowered, and free, to challenge that as normal and acceptable, and to start this change, to really embody and therefore have the results. We have to change our perspective and challenge that that's not normal, that's not going to actually allow you to live in the body that you wish to live in, to feel the way that you want to feel, to be around food that in the way that you want to be around it. So please challenge that and accept that that's no longer acceptable, because it's not going to work for you and it's not going to provide you with the results in your health and your body and your mind and soul with the results that you ultimately want. And we have to be okay with putting ourselves first. So that's the first thing, like destigmatizing making time for ourselves. It is not selfish to make time for yourself. It is not selfish to prioritize your health. And I'm not saying, and some of you might be cringing in your skin of like, oh my God, making myself number one? What? I'm a mother, I'm a wife. So I'm not asking you to go from that jump to where you see yourself now to number one. I'm just asking, can we get in the top three? Let me know if you can get in the top 3, say amen in the comments. Can we at least get on the board can ourselves and our priority at least make the board? All right, maybe your son is first, then your husband, or vice versa, whatever. But at least can we be in the top 5 important people in our lives? So we have to acknowledge that if we want the results and the benefits of being nourished, empowered, and free, we have to destigmatize taking care of ourselves, putting ourselves first. So that's the very first thing. The next thing I want you to imagine yourself as, which follow me with my metaphors here, is imagine yourself as an apple tree. Imagine you are this beautiful nature being of a tree that bears beautiful, tasty, nutritious fruit. You bear apples, and you bear these apples that provide for the people in your life that you love and care for so much, whether it's your kids, your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, your boss, your clients, whatever it is. You provide these fruits for them, these apples, right? So we're giving to them. In order to give these delicious apples, what needs to happen? We need to make sure that that tree is tended to, that the soil's tended to, that the soil is watered, that there's sun, that there's oxygen, that there's love, all of these things to produce fruitful apples, tasty apples, healthy apples, whatever you want to call them, so that your son, your husband, your daughter, your sisters, your coworkers can benefit from those apples. Make sense? Let me know if you're following. So that's the next thing. Picture yourself as someone who, yes, bears these fruits, and remember that you need to nurture and nourish yourself to bear the fruit. Because we forget, right? We totally forget. We think we can keep giving. Let me show you what happens when we forget to nurture and nourish. We show up to that tree, or our husband, our kids, whoever, our coworkers, and they go to pick something off the tree. Now, chances are you can't stop being a mom. You can't stop being a spouse. You can't say, oh no, there's no fruit here. Chances are they start to pick at rotted apples, or they start to pick at the leaves, the twigs, the branches. When we don't nurture and nourish ourselves, we don't have much to give. And let me tell you something. You're always going to probably be expected to give for most of us in the roles that we play. That's the beauty of being human. So the point of this analogy is to understand that it really is vital for yourself and for the others in your life to make time to nurture and nourish. So it is not selfish to soil the soil or whatever, tend to it, to water the water, to bask in the sun. It is not selfish. It is necessary to produce the apples that are going to nurture and nourish all the amazing people in your life. So we really have to watch that reframe, and even that alone for some people can start to, okay, there's a shift how we approach things. Okay, so the next thing I really want to connect with you all is to invite you to look at it 2 ways. So I like something called The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. If you don't know what that is, I recommend to take that quiz. It's really simple and easy. But the 2 tendencies, there's 4, but the 2 most common in everyone who's taken the quiz are obligers and questioners. These tendencies tell us what motivates us to meet expectations. So this can be really helpful when we're trying to make changes in our nutrition and our lifestyle when we know more about who we are, right? That's self-awareness, self-connection. So if you are someone who is what's called a questioner tendency, there's a really good chance that you are motivated by understanding why. So if you are someone who is trying to put yourself first, your health first, and you've struggled, I want you to think about that tree analogy and understand now that you have to put yourself first in order to bear the fruit for your family, for your kids, for your coworkers, your boss, whoever that is. So literally, if you want to bear the fruit and be healthy, nourished, empowered, and be able to provide and to give, you have to make the time for yourself. So whatever that little task is, I'm not talking about the big goal, like lose the weight and, lose the 10 pounds. I'm not talking about that. Like narrow it down to that one task, like make time for the walk. Now I want you to view that, my question or tendencies, as, oh, I have to do that because it's going to bear the fruit. Okay. If you might already know if you're someone who's a question or tendency, if not, just take the quiz, because you might be that person who, if you're easily motivated to do something because you're like, you know the facts and then you can therefore follow up and like follow through with it, then you're probably a question or tendency. So the hack for you is to know that the reason why you're doing the walking, eating the vegetables, making time to meditate for 2 minutes in the morning, literally doing a little bit of breath work, is because it will allow you to bear the fruit and be nourished. Like you might be good to go here, my question or tendencies. The other half of you, who are likely falling in the obliger category, which is most of my clients, mostly women, moms, wives, are more motivated when there's an external expectation. Someone else is counting on you. So these are particularly my women who do really well with making time to cook for their husband, to prepare meals for their kids, to make all the time in the world for everyone but them. So this, I want you to view the apple tree analogy as viewing that as, again, having to provide for your son or for your husband, whoever it is. The only way you can really do that is to have the apples on that tree come to fruition, right? So I want you to view your one task as let's say it's the same thing, like you want to walk and you just haven't been doing it. I want you to put that task of walking on the same checklist as the things you do for your kids and your spouse. So if on that list, you have to go to the drugstore for your husband, you have to pick up your son's cleats, you have to cook your son dinner, I want you to challenge yourself to put one nourishing task on that checklist that you put for everyone else, and view that walk for yourself as actually an act of service for the loved ones in your life. Because remember, technically it is. Technically, you going on that walk and being healthy for your son and for your husband is for them, right? Even though it's for you, my obligers, I want you to view that as something that's actually for your son and for your husband. So anytime that guilt, that mom guilt, that wife guilt comes in where, I can't make time for myself, I have to put everyone else first, I want you to literally tell yourself, this isn't for me, this isn't for my son. This isn't for me, this is for my husband. Because if I need to show up best for my husband and whoever that is, or my boss, whatever, for my friends, for my sisters, for this project, I need to do these things. Because if I don't do these things, the fruit that comes from my apple tree will be really crappy. And I will disappoint so-and-so and so-and-so because I didn't take time to really nurture the apple tree so they can grow the best apples. Okay, let me know if this makes sense for you guys, because I know it was a kind of a weird analogy. And I don't know about you, but I think in stories and visuals, and it helps bring the points home. But the point is, in order to show up for others and do the best by our family and the people we love so much in our lives, we have to make time to do right for ourselves, or else the way we're showing up is ultimately not going to be as helpful versus when we show up for ourselves and soil the soil, water the soil, and do all the things. So release that guilt right now. Take a deep breath in and exhale out, and know that you are worthy of making time for, and know that you have the permission to nourish yourself and to do the things, and know that just because something is common in our society does not mean it's healthy and doesn't mean it necessarily should be normalized. Normalize taking care of truly one of the most important people in your life, which is yourself. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope this helps, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.